Hello, once again, everybody. And on behalf of the All-Star Football Officials Association Training Committee, I'd like to welcome you to our Week 9 training video. Heck, 2 more weeks. That's it. 6 months ago, I don't think you could have convinced me that we were actually going to get this season in, but we did. Got 2 weeks left. So these last 2 weeks, I'm going to challenge you guys to really work hard, get yourself polished up for the playoffs. We're going to need a lot of bodies this year, more than we usually have. So if you don't usually work playoffs, choose not to, whatever the reason, be ready for it. So take these 2 weeks, get polished up, work hard, and I'll probably do one more of these videos like this, and then I'll put together a little 7-man refresher, quick 7-man refresher course that should help everybody, especially those guys. If you're working a position you usually don't work during the year, it'll just be something quick. Hit on some of the key aspects, help you with your pregame, help you with some topics in your pregame, whatever it is, to get you going. But in this case, we're going to stick with the usual format. I've got 4 plays we want to take a look at, kind of all over the board, not just one topic. So let's go ahead and jump on in. All right, on this play here, I want to show you something that's a good example of something hardly ever see, and that some purists will tell you it doesn't even exist, and that's simultaneous catch. And we'll talk about what happens when we got a simultaneous catch. We'll get into recovery, simultaneous recovery, all that other stuff if 2 people dive on a fumble and we got simultaneous recovery. But this one here, this is about the closest I've ever seen to something actually being a simultaneous catch. And I'll go ahead and let it play through, and then I'll back it up. See right here, come through, and of course, after all that, the ball comes out. So what do we have? I mean, we can break it down and slow it down, and one, did he actually catch it? Did he, did he have both hands? Did somebody actually have? I mean, we can argue this all day long. And again, some people will tell you, kind of like in baseball, old saying is tie goes to the runner, and there's plenty of people who will tell you that there's never actually a tie. You got to pick one way or the other. But again, same thing in football with simultaneous catch. Some people tell you the same thing. It's either a catch by the offense, interception by the defense. But in this case, I think this is a good example of about as close as you get to it. So we'll do it right here. You can see he gets back there. And again, to complete a catch, he's got to have a foot down, and not just that, he's got to make some kind of a football move anyway to have completed the catch, survive the ground, all that kind of stuff. So this case, you see right here, they came down good here. Both guys have a hold of that. And in my opinion, that's a simultaneous catch. So, all right, we've got that. So now what do we rule? Well, basically we follow the rule. That's how we rule, is that we follow the rule. So if we deem that this is a simultaneous catch, then this is DRT, or dead right there. So the ball is dead. By rule, the ball is dead, and it belongs to the offense. So in this case, we come in and kill it right here. And the whole reason this rule is in effect is because if both people have it, how do we rule forward progress? Do we give offense forward progress? Yeah, maybe, but if we consider the defense has it, then now we've got a whole thing. If it fumbles, who fumbled it, all that kind of stuff. So if somebody has to have the ball, offense or defense, and if they both have it, then that's why we kill it, so that stuff like this doesn't happen. It keeps playing out. We got a fumble. Well, now who fumbled? If they both had it, you've got to determine all that. So that's why we kill it. So crew actually does a good job. Simultaneous possession, and it's dead right there. And again, all the stuff that happens after that doesn't really matter. So coach can come and argue, oh, he never really controlled it, or my guy had it, or it was a fumble, or progress, this, that, and the other. As soon as you say it's simultaneous catch, it's dead. It's dead right there, and none of this other stuff matters. You can stop explaining it to the coach right there, because none of this other stuff matters. And again, that's why the rule exists in the first place, so that we don't have train wrecks after the fact and try and figure out who did what, and who's got the ball, and which way we're going, all that kind of stuff. So again, I just want to show you that's a really good example. We can get a little bit further into it as well, to the rule. If we have, let's say it's just a fumble and 2 guys boom, both diving at head first, and they both haven't, we determine it's simultaneous recovery. By rule, then that ball belongs to the team who fumbled the ball. So if the offense, it's very important to know it doesn't just go back to the offense, it's the team that fumbled. So in this case, for running back fumbles, they both get on it, belongs to the team that fumbled it, would give it back to the offense. But let's say we have a interception, offense throws an interception, defense, obviously intercepts it, they return the ball, they fumble, and then we have a simultaneous possession. So we don't just say, well, it goes to the offense, because it doesn't. It goes to the team that fumbled, which in this case would have been the defense. So they would get to keep the ball. It'd be dead right there. They'd get to keep the ball. Kicks, obviously, if we have, say, a scrimmage kick, whether it gets touch, first touch, any of that, anytime they have a kick, legal kick, that ball is going to belong to the receiving team, be it free kick, scrimmage kick. If we have simultaneous recovery, that ball is going to belong to the receiving team. So just keep that in mind if you want to dive into it and look at it. It's in a couple different places in the rule book, but just remember, if we've got joint possession, joint recovery, any of that, it is dead right there. Let's kill it, get in there, and go from there. All right, on this play, we'll take a look. We'll get a little play swing to this side. I believe it goes for a touchdown. And we're going to get a pretty obvious foul for a block in the back. And when I say pretty obvious, very obvious foul for a block in the back. And let's talk about just some of the mechanics, not the foul itself, but the mechanics of what we do kind of after we have the foul. So see here, we're going to go, you'll play out here, quarterback scrambles, and that's pretty obvious right there. So he doesn't go in for a touchdown, he goes out about the 5. But as you see, we've got, we see it, referee, line judge, field judge, all have it. Got the flag, officiated the play, good job. But as we see, the biggest thing I want to talk about here is we've got 3 different flags in 3 different places. So what do we do? In this case, it's blatantly obvious. It's about the only thing right there. Hit him right in the back. So I'm pretty sure everybody in the stadium knows that these 3 flags are for that block in the back. But point being, it happened somewhere about, I don't know, 9, 10, somewhere around there. We can call it 10. And again, so we get flags out on it, get 3 of them. So what do we do? First thing, let's get together, officiate the play, make sure nothing silly happening over here, kill the clock, do everything we need to do. Then the very next thing we need to do is get all these flags, all these little yellow things in the same spot. Whether we decide that's the 10 or whether we think it's the 9 or whatever it is, we want to try and get as close as we can. But we want to get them all in one spot. And basically what that does is show that we've got one foul. If we leave flags all over the field and we're talking, it makes it look like we've got multiple fouls. Like I said, in this case, it was pretty obvious, but let's say we get a hold in the middle of the field and we've got, on a long run, we've got the side judge throw and the head linesman and referee off throw, and we've got flags potentially, depending on how good they are, that could be 10, 15, 20 yards apart. And it might not be so obvious, but we need to make sure, that's why we need to make sure that we get those flags in the same spot. If we have the same foul, get together, talk to each other. Hey, do you have a hold on, or do you have a block in the back here? Yes, I did. All right. Where was it at? But you come to an agreement, it was right here. Get all those flags in the same spot, and then go from there. Well, it just looks good, makes you look crisp, makes it look like you know what you're doing. And 2, it just helps for enforcement too, because the umpire may not be a part of this. We've got 3 flags on the ground. He's just told to walk off 10 yards if we're not doing our penalty enforcement mechanics right. And he may pick a flag to go to, and we end up, in this case, we've got flags that are 7 yards apart, and we could have we can enforce it 7 yards in the wrong direction, or whatever flag he decided he wanted to walk from. So when we get flags flying all over the field, let's make sure we talk about it. Make sure if we've got the same foul, we get the flags in the right spot. It helps a lot, looks nice, crisp. And a lot of times coaches will give you the benefit of the doubt if they see you doing stuff like that. They know you're communicating as a crew and that you're doing the right thing on the field. So good job, guys. All right, let's take a look at this scrimmage kick or punt in this case. I'm going to let it play through before I even explain what's going on. Just let you watch it. Got a ball bouncing around, dive on it, and the kicking team thinks they have it. So why do they think they have it? Let's take a look at it. So punt, well short, not very good. Him telling them to get away. So let's pause it and we'll kind of slow it down. So deep guys do a good job focusing in here. Don't just give up on the action. Put your head down and start running to a spot, because we've still got mixed jerseys. We got mixed colors. So we still need to officiate. So this case, the crew does a really good job. And you can see it happening. This guy's already figured it out. That ball's right here. And you'll see as he goes, he figures out that's pretty close. I think I can block him into it. He does, I think. I don't know whether purple actually, the receiving team actually touched the ball or it hit white first, whatever. But either way, the way the kicking team reacts, it sure makes it seem like he did. The receiving team did touch this here, and of course, there they go. They dive on it and get on it. So, what do we have? Basically, when it comes down to it, we've got nothing except for first touching by the kicking team. And why? Because we ignore first touching by the kicking team, and we ignore touching by the receiving team if the player, in this case, this receiver right here, is deemed to have been blocked into the ball. And in this case, it's pretty obvious. He's given up. He's not trying to block this guy. He's just kind of giving up on the play. And this guy sees an opportunity. And it's pretty good. He almost gets away with it. But I will tell you, this crew does the right thing and sees that this player gets blocked into it. And so that touching by the receiving team is ignored. And so in this case, all you have is the kicking team diving on it. Kills it here, and it belongs to the receiving team. So that goes for, free kicks, any time we have opportunity for first touching, and that goes the same had the roles been reversed, and had that been a receiving team player trying to block a kicking team player into the ball, it'd be the same thing. That first touching would be ignored, and in this case, the touching by the receiving team is ignored. You can see he's giving up. He's just kind of standing there. That guy, boom, just bang. I mean, just again, it's a good job. He pushes him right into it. But crew does a good job. They get together. Both deep guys, the umpire came in, and the line guys came in too, talked. They all agreed, yes, he was blocked into it. And so that touching was ignored, and we didn't give the ball to the kicking team when they didn't deserve it. But good job here by this crew to get that. Just kind of a note too, just because two guys are blocking doesn't necessarily mean he was blocked into it. It has to be something kind of this obvious where he's given up and he clearly, it wouldn't have touched him at all had he not been pushed into it. If it's, let's say, we're running right here and these two guys, are just they're blocking each other. The receiving team's kind of pushing against the kicking team player, and the kicking team player's kind of pushing each other. If that ball just takes an unlucky hop and hits him in the leg, that's not being blocked into the ball. If the two guys are just kind of blocking each other and it just takes a bad hop and hits him, he's on the hook for that. The kicking team will be on the hook for first touch, and the receiving team will be on the hook for the touch to allow K to recover that and keep possession. But in this case, I think it's pretty obvious that this wouldn't have happened. That's not a bad bounce. It would not have hit him had the kicking team guy put it into him there. So, again, good job by this crew to get that right. Take a look at that. First touching, being blocked into it. When do we ignore it? All that kind of stuff. You can get in the rule book, find some examples, find some stuff in the case book. But again, it's one you hardly ever see, and I'm glad we got it on film. Got a good look at it. So good job by this crew. All right, this play I want to talk about intentional grounding. So first of all, let me get this out of the way. There is Well, the tackle box, being outside the tackle box and throwing it past the line of scrimmage means absolutely nothing in the high school game. It means jack squat. So coaches, I'm sure anytime I guarantee you'll hear it every time, a couple times a year, anytime we get a call for intentional grounding. Offensive coach, the ball was beyond the line of scrimmage. He was outside the tackle. Whatever they watch on Saturday that the guys tell them is, deemed it wasn't grounding because of whatever, or Sunday or whatever they're watching the game. The rules in high school, a little simpler. Basically what it states is intentional grounding, illegal for a pass, intentional grounding be the part of this. Basically a pass that is intentionally thrown into an area not occupied by an eligible offensive receiver. That's one part. The other part is a pass intentionally thrown incomplete to save loss of yardage or to conserve time. Kind of the same thing. Essentially, penalty's the same, 5 yards from the spot of that pass and loss of down. But in this case, I think we're talking about the first one, which is a pass intentionally thrown into an area not occupied by an eligible offensive receiver. And I'm going to say the word area a bunch because it's very important. That's when you'll see, let me speed up a little bit, goes out there, he doesn't have that, he's running, he's under duress, and he just chunks it. And you see where that ball lands. Where did it hit? About halfway up the wall here. So it hits about halfway up the wall here. The closest receivers are right here, number 8, and right here, whatever this guy's number is. So they're a long way away. Now, is this in the area? I say no. Because in the area means where the ball ultimately lands, not where, this guy was kind of in the area, went over the area, over his head. That's not being in the area. Being in the area means where the ball lands. So if that ball lands instead over here, if it lands right here, kind of close, I think we're okay. Or if it lands just right on the sideline, kind of close, where even if it's out of bounds, he could have potentially made a play on it. We're okay there, but this is not in the area. So crew call. So as we go here, you see this referee, he's hustling over because we need this spot. We have to have the spot. It's very important, especially if we're in an end zone, where they snap from the 2 and we're in the end zone. That spot could be the difference between a half the distance foul or safety, making a scoring play. So in this case, you see the referee hustling. He's getting to the spot, and he's just going to wait. What he's going to do is he's going to wait on his line judge over here. Maybe his umpire can help, his deep guys, whatever it is. He's going to wait on somebody to come in and tell him either I had an eligible in the area or I didn't, or I did not. I had nobody over here. Even if it's as obvious as, well, they clearly didn't have a receiver with his back against this wall ready to catch the pass. So even if it's that obvious, this referee isn't going to just come over here and chunk that flag. He's going to wait for the guys to bring in the information he needs. So he does a good job. He's going to sit here. He's going to wait. We determine, in this case, yes, there's nobody there, so we do have a foul for intentional grounding. Drop the flag. Penalty is 5 yards from the spot of the foul and a loss of down. I don't know what down this is, but so 5 from here, loss of down. On that same note, what he doesn't need to do is just stop and assume, oh, I thought I saw somebody over here, so I'm just going to stop. And then all of a sudden, here comes a deep guy running, and look, there's nobody there. And then we're scrambling, trying to figure out where he threw the ball from, because we need a foul here. And we have no idea where he threw it from. So again, good job, referee. You just anticipate it. You can see it happening. Anticipate it, get there. If we've got nothing, good, you just walk away. But if we do have it, hey, we got the spot, we'll drop the flag right there. And I emphasize the referee dropped the flag. We don't need the line judge or the umpire or the deep guy chunking a flag in here for intentional grounding. That just looks horrible. I mean, nobody will think that that's what that's for. They're going to assume it's a hold or a personal foul or pass interference or something. Nobody's going to assume that's for intentional grounding. So let the referee handle that when it comes to that. There are a lot of factors. We get a lot of leeway when it comes to intentional grounding. The score, the conditions, I mean, all that goes into play. The wind, just the ability of the quarterback, is the ball slippery, that kind of thing. In this case, you got two good teams, dry field, good football. It's pretty obvious he put that over here. He wasn't hit when he threw it. That could be another fact if he's being, he's in the grass, the guy's pulling him backwards or they hit his arm or something. That could factor into it. But in this case, pretty obvious what he did here, and they do a good job of getting this foul. But just remember, in the area, it's very important. This is the area, not this. He can't just sky and say, well, I threw it over his head, and this woman up here in the blue caught it. That's not going to work. Got to be in there. And again, don't let them get you with the Saturday rules. That doesn't apply in the Federation. But most important thing I want you to remember, intentional grounding is a crew call. Get together, talk about it, put the flag down if we have to in the right spot. And if we got nothing, then good. We deem in the area and we just walk away. But a good job by this crew to get this foul right here. All right, that's it for this week. You guys keep working hard, communicate before, during, and after the game, and above all, please stay safe.